think it was in the late 80s, they were pretty much in dire straits of what was going on with them. And their community banded together and like, no, we want this thing to succeed. We want you to stay in business. And that's another thing, like our product or service went out of business. And that's how you have to move from being a transactional company to being a transformational company.
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
What's up, you fighting entrepreneurs? This is Anik Singal, and I'm back to you with another episode with one of my favorite people in the world, and I truly mean that, and you'll learn exactly why I'm saying that when I tell you the story. Yanik, thank you so much for being here, man.
Absolutely.
All right. So Yanik actually lives close by, so we just had him kind of come in and meet with us.
I hang out here at the office, whenever I got consulting days.
Yes, absolutely. We see him sometimes around the Lurn Center. All right, I got to tell this story. Some of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
You've heard
It's
it you've heard it so many times.
It's a really good one.
Yeah, it's a good story. So this is 15 years ago. I am trying to figure out this internet marketing thing. It might be 16 now. I think I've been saying 15 for many years. So I'm like that kid right in college, like trying to figure things out. I'm on the forums. I can't figure anything out. One person, I don't remember the person's name. One person's like, "Hey, do you know that there is a big shot internet marketer right in your backyard?" And I said, "No, who is it?" And he says, his name is Yanik Silver. And I look at this person, I'm like, you're just like messing with me, right? Because get it, like Anik, Yanik, right? Totally thought this guy's joking. Look him up. I'm like, no, sure enough, there is a guy named Yanik Silver right down the street. So I reached out, never expecting you would even reply. Not only did you reply, you offered to take me out to lunch locally nearby. So it was at a restaurant, Thai in Rockville. Is that still there, that restaurant?
I think that one is still there, yeah.
Oh, wow,
I'm pretty sure it is.
So,
a couple more locations, too.
Joe says it is, so.
I work right next to it.
There you go.
Ah, the Starbucks?
A plug for Thai.
There you go. Thai, thank you. Although your food makes me sick every time I have it. That's for another day. So I sat outside, right? I'm like that little kid sitting there was actually a wooden bench outside. I'm sitting on there, I'm nervous, so nervous. And I hear from a distance, vroom, vroom, and I'm like, what is this? And it was the most beautiful car I'd ever personally seen in my life. It was a Mercedes, what was
SL55 AMG.
SL55 AMG. All I can tell you, for those of you who are fans of Silicon Valley, its doors opened like this. Like this. You don't know Silicon Valley? Come on, yes. Well, you got to know the show for it to be funny. But the door opened in a way, I'm like, this dude is important. Like, this is amazing. Cars were everything to me back at that age. And he comes out, and we had lunch, and it just gave me advice. And I also discovered that very good internet marketers are not necessarily gods. They're normal human beings like us. But that moment made it real for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to express like how important that is. It just made it real. Like, okay, wow, this can be done. And from there, I don't know, I remember fast forward a few weeks, I was at your house. I had the car backed up with the trunk open.
I was giving you a bunch of material.
I'm walking into his basement, pulling up a bunch of courses, boxes. I don't know what's going on. But you have a funny side to that story, which was your wife's reaction.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I was going out to lunch, and she's like, who are you going to meet? I'm like, Anik. She's like, really? She's like, you couldn't be more creative with a name? like who are you really going to see? I'm like, no, Anik. And so, yes. And I'd like to thank whoever brought us back together.
I can't remember either.
That's actually really cool. And that's not like a normal thing for me. Like when someone emails me out of the blue, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go to lunch. But I always have a soft spot, especially for younger entrepreneurs. For we had University of Maryland in common.
We had Terps, go Terps.
Yeah, and I'm not even like a huge alum or anything like that. I don't really do that much with Maryland.
They keep asking me for money. I don't give it.
I mean, I'm a fan, but also not a fan of college. It's maybe we'll even get into that. But
we could change the whole topic.
Yeah,
of this
that's
conversation right now.
But I do think it's like one of those things that I imagine that you've probably done this multiple times now. Had lunch with somebody, and that's been a spark for them to get to where they are, and it's just like this thing that keeps going. I love the ripples of impact. And what did I know that would you turn into the Anik that you are today? No, I have no idea. But I saw someone who was earnest. I saw someone who really studied, who wanted to know, and that's why I gave you all this material as well, because I want I want it to go to good use.
And it meant the world, and you're right. So if you're listening to this, there's definitely someone out there who you can coach and mentor, even wherever you are in your life. And you're right, one little gesture can mean the world. And
the mentors, I was going to touch on that, and maybe we can even talk about that a little bit more later. But the mentors, like everyone gets wrapped up in like, oh, I need a mentor, and I need someone that's going to take me under their wing. If you don't have that person, a lot of us don't necessarily. Mentors are, for me, there were audios. Right? They were the books, the audios, the programs. Like that's where my first mentors came from.
So do you remember the first course you did give me? It was your copywriting course.
Oh, no, yeah, that's funny.
That's the first one you gave to me. It was the second copywriting course I took, because the first one I took was, and at that time I actually had an official mentor for copywriting. I was like knee deep into the world of copywriting. I loved it. And today I'm like, that's all I do. Copywriting is my favorite thing. It's my biggest passion. And so it's crazy, right? And just so you know, I still have your course.
Oh, nice.
It's in my parents' basement. They were trying to, my parents are trying to do a basement cleanup, and the first thing on the list of gotta go was all my courses. So I went there with all my honor, protected all of them. They're still there.
Nice.
They're still there. Still there. All right, so for all of you wondering why we are babbling and who is Yanik, we're going to spend the rest of the entire podcast decoding that, because still till this day, you're taking me to school, and there are things I want to learn from you that you've done so brilliantly that I don't get. Very honest, I'm going to say it, like I don't get it. I don't understand how it works, why it works, and I want to find out today. But before we do that, if you're listening to this, remember, show notes, anikpodcast.com. Get over there, anikpodcast.com. Make sure you subscribe and you leave a review and do all that fun stuff. And by the end of this, we're going to let you know how you can get more in touch with Yanik, but all I can tell you is you need to do whatever we tell you to do, and however you can get a hold of him.
Add a Y, so Anik and Yanik.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised how many they can't spell my name.
No, they can't spell my name either.
They'll misspell your name.
The Indian-Russian joint venture.
At least your last name. They can't misspell that.
Yeah.
So, all right, you ready? We're gonna go into this.
Let's do it.
All right, round one. When we first met, you were internet marketing dude. Launches, lists, affiliate promotions, JV stuff. And then there was a day, I don't remember what day, but there was a day where it was like, checked out, done. I'm not doing that anymore. Now, honestly, at that time, I'm like, he's crazy. Why would he just leave this great source of income? Today, totally get it. Like, I'm there right next to you. I want nothing to do with it. But why did you do it, and what do you do now? Yeah,
so I call it this cosmic alarm clock. And this cosmic alarm clock goes off in different times. It's like, so my daughter Zoe, who's 11 now, I remember way back when she was like 5, maybe 6, I can't remember. She really wanted a wiggly tooth because her older brother, Zach, was 2 years older, and he's had a wiggly tooth, but I think she was more interested in like the tooth fairy, like getting the cash, right? She's money motivated, Zach. So. But so she's like, I want a wiggly tooth, and it's kind of like, this, you can't, you don't know when it comes, but this cosmic alarm clock shows off and rings, and then it's like, you can either hit snooze or you can answer it, and very often it comes with the question, like, so I deal a lot with entrepreneurs, and because I've been through it and come back out the other side many times of this idea of, okay, now what? Right, so I call it the stage 3 entrepreneur. It's like stage 1, you jump out of the airplane, you have a good idea, you're building the parachute on the way down. It's like, I think I can do this. I have no idea, but it sounds really awesome. And then at some point you're like, oh, holy shit, this worked.
Yeah.
And that's stage 2. And that's the, that's you're coming up and you get the accolades and you're in the press or whatever it is, and things are going well, the profits are increasing, and then at some point it plateaus where you're not just the profits necessarily, but more about like your personal passion for it.
Yeah.
And that's the spot where it's a stage 3 entrepreneur, and it's either you make this leap over this gorge, or you go back to the golden handcuffs and just do what you've always done, and your soul kind of slowly dies in the process, or you follow your heart, make this leap, and following your heart is frequently scary, but never wrong. And that's what I did. It was like, about 11 years ago, I just kind of looked at my life and I'm like, okay, am I happy? And would I be happy doing what I'm doing 10 years from now? And if I was really honest, the answer was no. And it was like outside looking in, had a hot sports car. I had upgraded by then to the Aston Martin. I had a great reputation in the digital marketing space, which isn't that easy to do. I was making a lot of money. And, my accountant was even asking me, like, how the hell are you doing this? And like, it's just, you know, outside in, everything was great. But honestly, I thought I had a bigger purpose, a bigger impact that I could make. And it really forced me to look at, okay, what is it? What could it be?
It's pretty powerful. I have to agree with you. And so for me, that moment came about 7 years ago. And then it came again about 3 years ago, like 2.5 years ago. Then 7 years ago, unfortunately for me, it came in the darkest of times.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was out 1.7 million in debt, and I was forced to say, what just happened? And then 2.5 years ago, I was fine. I mean, I had a ton of money, but I was bored. I'm like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And that was I asked a question, by the way, and if you're watching or listening, we didn't talk about this. It's not like you told me to ask myself that question. So it's funny that every one of us seems to have this clock, because I asked the question, if I'm doing what I do right now in 10 years, am I going to be happy?
Yeah, 10 years is an interesting time period.
And let's face it, right?
It goes by like this, too.
It does. And, well, I've been doing this now for almost 16 years. I'm shocked.
Yeah,
right?
I've been an entrepreneur myself for going on 20 years.
And the truth is, net profit-wise, I make way less now today than I did 7-8 years ago, or more like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm so much happier.
Isn't that
Oh my God, I get up faster. I like race out. I just love what I'm doing. But I asked a question, and again, to be honest, like the answer was heck no. And it comes quick, right? Like if you're listening, you ask yourself this question. If you're ready to live up to it, the answer comes real quick. Like your inside scream very, very clearly.
Yeah. And so I'm a big fan of journaling, right? And I teach journaling to entrepreneurs. I love it as a process. And so I do a lot of journaling. And you can do this in your journal. And even if you don't have a journal, pick up a, whatever, a 99-cent little spiral-bound notebook or whatever. But if you stick that question at the top and just keep writing about it, and then even if you want to take it to another level, one of my friends, Bill Donius, he wrote a book called Thought Revolution. It's all about using your non-dominant hand. So you could use if I'm right-handed, so you use your left hand and you'll write something else. And that comes from an even deeper place of wisdom. But so I spent that time writing in my journal about what would make me happy. And it came down to hanging out with incredible entrepreneurs, doing awesome adventures, having a charity element, and having some fun. So it was like, make more, give more, and have more fun. And so these 3 interconnected circles, right? And that became Maverick. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is my, my ultimate life thing is Maverick. And we started doing, it's a completely different business. I was in the information publishing space, content space, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna put on the very first adventure. It was a Baja dune buggy racing adventure. I have no idea how many people are gonna come. We got like 20-some people to come.
I still remember when you first announced it.
I put it out, and I'm like, oh, I have no idea. But it was really interesting. Like one of my buddies, Corey Rudel, who now got into a tragic car accident.
Godfather of internet marketing.
Yeah, I don't remember what year that was. It might have been maybe 12 years ago now.
It was right after I met him at your event.
Yeah, at the birthday bash.
Months after that.
At the birthday bash.
In DC, you did an event.
In DC, he came. Oh, so he came to Underground. Right, he came to Underground.
Yeah.
And so Corey was, one of my favorite people, and he took me Baja dune buggy racing, and I went with one of my other buddies, and he's raced every single thing, cars, tracks, everything. He was almost like a semi-pro racer. And he's like, this is the most fun I've ever had. I'm like, cool, that sounds awesome, let's do it. And it was in Mexico, in Baja, Mexico, and you'd race up and down the Baja Peninsula in these amazing like dune buggies that are like $150,000 dune buggies that would go over anything. And he almost killed us. It was actually kind of funny, kind of not funny, where we're like screwing around and then coming back onto the highway because we were late, and all of a sudden this like semi truck came bearing down on us, and he like jams on the brakes, and we stop right before the highway. I'm like, dude, that wouldn't have been fun. That would have been two major internet marketers done in one fell swoop. And slightly prophetic that he died in a racing accident not that far after that. But after that trip, it really was the kind of a bit of a catalyst to start Maverick Business Adventures. And so I believe in, and this is like, a key element if you're taking notes, is like you plant the flag, right? Plant the flag and go do it. So for me, it was January, whatever that date was, in 2008. I'm like, okay, we're doing this trip. I put down a bunch of money as a deposit. I also wanted to get a celebrity icon there. And I'm like, okay, we're going to make this happen. I had no clue how to make that happen. Oh. And I had no clue how many spots we're going to sell, what it was going to look like. But we got like 24, 26 people there. and got Jesse James, the motorcycle mogul guy, to come in, and it was an amazing trip. And it was like, I thought, okay, great, but this is the start of something really cool. It kind of matched everything. We did a mentor session with these young kids in a local school in Mexico, teaching them about entrepreneurship. You know, it hit all the elements. We did amazing business sessions with people out of the classroom, and then fast forward about $400,000 in, my wife's like, so what the hell are you doing? I'm like, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know for sure, but there's something here, and it's like my passion for it kind of overshadowed my pragmatic aspect of is this a business or not, and then my passion was completely waning on the internet marketing side. Like I was checked out because that wasn't my passion necessarily anymore. Like I wanted to do this. There was something more to it, but what it really forced me to do, you talk about these dark times. And that was an interesting dark time for sure, because as entrepreneurs, so many times our identities are so wrapped up into our identities with work, right? Our net worth is connected to our worth is connected to our net worth essentially. Yeah. But it shouldn't be, right? If we can disconnect that, and it forced me to really have to disconnect it, and it forced me to look at, okay, so what is going on here? Like, did I want to build an adventure travel company? No. My real mission was never to do that. It was, now our mission is changing the way business is played. And it really forced me to look at, okay, we're just building an adventure travel company here, and there's something more. So that's when I went back and again, in my journal, asked my question, and this is one of my favorite questions, which is, what would your 111-year-old self tell you? And so I had kind of cribbed that from a guy who wrote Philosopher's Notes, and he asked, like, what would your 110-year-old self tell you? And I think he cribbed that from someone else, but I love the alliteration of like 111. Yeah. And then so I also used my left hand for this, and it was to light 1,000 suns who could light another 1,000 suns. And that's when, I really changed. I changed the name of the group to Maverick 1000. We changed our real trajectory of what we were doing. Is much more about growth and evolving yourself. How do you make a difference in the world individually through your company, and how do you make a difference collectively through our talent and resources and network? And then same thing, how do you still have fun in the process? So the essence of what I put out there before was really remarkably similar, but the expression of it had changed, and that's when things actually started finally working a bit more.
That's incredible. And that's a lot. So it's funny because my next round was, what do you do today? But you got beautifully into that. And I didn't know that story. I didn't actually know. I just thought 1,000 was a random number you pulled out. Because it did. I remember going from Maverick to Maverick 1000. Yeah. I remember being on the other side watching that, that transpire. And I find interesting, so I can actually fess up this to you because I've never told you before, but when you were doing this, I remember thinking to myself, I think Yanik has lost it.
Which part, the adventure piece or the...
just walking away. Why just this rip of a Band-Aid, it didn't make sense to me because I was still knee-deep in that. And I was like, what is he doing? But then I did know. I'm like, whatever it is, he seems really happy because we'd run into each other every now and then randomly at some place. But I just didn't get it. And it's funny, over the last year and a half, the question I get the most from even the most successful marketers right now is, what the heck are you doing? Because they don't get what is this? Why have I built this 26,000 square foot facility? Why? And the actual answer is, I don't really know. But I love walking in here every day.
There's something that has been compelling you to do it, and I don't think we have to know. I think we just really need to be, the more we can get in alignment, I call it, when you start aligning your head, which is your business smarts. Like, you can't abandon your business smarts, your marketing smarts, all those things. It's not like, okay, I'm going to turn that off. And for a while, when I sort of walked away from the internet marketing space, I thought, okay, I'm just going to walk away from all of it. But you have to use every part of what brought you here to really fulfill what your ultimate purpose is. And so you're aligning your head, your heart, which is the impact that you want to make in the world, and then your highest purpose. Like, if you put all of that in alignment, like, then really good things start happening. And that's when you're in, synchronicities occur, magic occurs, like relationships show up, and things just show up, and you don't even have to know why or what, or you just have to continue following just a greater instinct.
There was, absolutely. And so to answer that question, again, if someone asked me today, I can't, but there was a moment at the center 2 weeks ago, a week ago, one of our team members ended up taking a few minutes to coach or mentor one of our Lurn Center members. And thanks to the guidance they gave for 10 minutes, the next day that member came back and said, I just closed my first client and I did what you said. And when that message echoed down back to me, that was it. I said, see, that's what I'm doing. Like, that's why I did this, but how do I express that to someone in short notes?
Yeah, those ripples of impact. I mean, that's why I love, this 1,000 suns who can light another 1,000 suns. Like, to me, it's all about, okay, could we nudge the people that, instigate the instigators, catalyze the catalysts, connect the connectors. That's what I'm intrigued by. So
let's do this. In this particular episode, one of my goals is to really ask you, because I think what you've mastered beyond even comprehension for me is you've mastered the ability of building this community of people, and I've had a chance to be in it. I've seen it, and it still mesmerizes me because I don't get it. But it was magical. Like, it was, you could tell there was something between. I felt like an outsider. Like, I'll tell you flat out, that whole time I was there.
We want you to be an insider when you can come back in.
But I loved that. Like, I loved feeling awkward. It told me that the community was so strong that, and then eventually, after a day or so, I made some friends. But we're going to spend the rest of our episode really learning what Mavericks is, how you've built it, and how you've built that community. But for now, what we're going to do for real quick is we're going to take a break. All right, we're back. So round 2, you ready?
Round 2. This
All
is
right.
drawing round.
Drawing round. That's right. During the break, we went out, and Yanik wants to doodle. So we're going to see where this goes.
We only have one color, so I'm feeling under-inspired here. I'm walking out.
All right, here's the deal. Next time we'll get you crayons, but if you're listening to this on the podcast, please, don't get into an accident trying to figure out how to get to the YouTube video. So what you could do is after you're done, we'll have beautiful pictures of what Yanik is about to draw at anikpodcast.com in the show notes. So you can grab it there. But really, what I want to ask you is, you've got a community called Mavericks.
Yeah.
And they're crazy, by the way. So for those of you listening, I've been there, been in it. They love to have fun. They're amazing people, and they're a random, the business. Like, I remember the one woman I became very good friends with. I think she runs dry cleaners.
Yeah, but like the best dry cleaner, one of the best in the world.
She's
organic,
such a
cleaning.
And when she told me that, I'm
all
like,
these celebrities go to her. Like,
I was like looking at her like, what are you doing here? Like, isn't this an internet marketing thing? Like, I was just completely confused. But hey, I was on Necker Island and on Sir Richard Branson in his home, so I was like, I'll just deal with it. But so here's the deal, right? So you've seen here at the Lurn Center, you've walked around. I've lightly told you my vision. Then I have this thing called Lurn Nation, this community I want to build that's a virtual Lurn Center. Basically, I want to build this community where people are drawn to support one another, to connect with one another, to have this obsessive relationship to support one another. You've done it, and I want to learn from you how we can do that. So tell us a little bit about, you've told us about what Maverick is, and for those of you listening, we'll tell you how to become a part of it in a bit, but how do I do that? How do I build a community like that?
So let me, I'll draw you a diagram.
Yep.
Because I think, and this is based on what we were talking about before, so we've since changed this now where it's a tree instead. It used to be a $sign. But because it means growing yourself, growing your business.
So if you're listening to this, he's drawn a circle with a tree in it.
Circle with the tree.
Another circle that overlaps that circle with a heart.
And I've since learned this is called a Venn diagram.
I was gonna say it looks like the Olympic.
So you got 3 interconnected circles. One's a happy face, one's a heart, one's a tree. And so this is about growing yourself, making a difference in the world and having some fun in the process. So that's kind of where that overlaps. That was what Maverick was like. That's the core DNA.
Okay.
And then what came out of that whole adventure of meeting these amazing people from these trips and experiences, and my wife asking, "What the hell are you doing?" were all these little pieces of, I almost went out of business essentially trying to figure out what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
Because there was something more that kept driving me, and it starts with, this is like these questions that you've been asking. So this is about you. So evolving yourself. It has to start with you as the founder. This is continually working on how do you become a better.
So real quick, you said something that caught my attention, and then I blanked out. So you said you almost went out of business. So all that money that you had made as an internet marketer, were you at risk of losing all of it when you were trying to build this?
No, we had a pretty solid savings account.
Okay, all right.
Right, but my wife is pretty security conscious. Like, she's not really excited to go dig into that.
Yeah.
Right, but as far as where the internet company was really funding what was going on here.
Got it.
And so it wasn't standing on its own. Yeah. If I was a regular consultant to a regular client, I would have been like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this has to be on its own. This has to, but there was something more that kept pushing me and pushing me. And when I figured this part out, it actually grew, like we turned it around and something like an 824% change, like made it a big difference. And this is getting to your question. This is a long way of getting to it because you have to know, I think, these pieces. And this is what became the Evolved Enterprise. So the next ring out is cause. And this is the impact that you want to make in the world. And if you ask any entrepreneur, if they've been around for a while, there's something more driving them. It's not just the profits. It's not just that they saw a market condition and they want to jump in there. At some point, they're either originally started because they want to make a bigger difference in the world, or they figured out, like, this is what I want to do with my next venture, or whatever it is. But this cause, so that's the impact that you want to have. And Simon Sinek talks about why. So this is like their why. And for you and Lurn Nation, it sounds like this is driving entrepreneurs to, like, tell us, what is your mission?
Yeah, so it's about, so there's 3 words I use, and it's basically inspire, empower, connect, right? So I want to inspire people into the world of entrepreneurship if they're afraid of it. I want to empower them with the content and the information they need to get to the next step, but then I want to connect them with one another. And I feel like if we do those 3 things, the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, so yours is, so inspire, empower, and connect. Awesome. So that would be in your cause here, and then everything actually starts, going from there. So it's like we can't you can, but then it gets more tactical. Is you can isolate. Okay, how do you build a community? But it has to be done in this bigger context, and even you evolving. Like I noticed, and I've seen this, and I still see this. Is like you're like, yeah, no, there's a bigger part that I want to play in this unfolding picture of what entrepreneurship can be. I even see, on the wall, like empower, I think it said 1 million entrepreneurs by 2019. Yeah. Like that's what gets me excited to want to talk to you and help you and help, even propel you a little bit more. So our cause is changing the way business is played. So that's our big mission. And then this final outer ring is the culture. And you've been, really leaning into this. This is like, okay, what's the bigger vision? What's the core values? What's the way that we show up? And I used to think this was complete BS, right? Yeah. And I'd have friends like
corporate talk.
Yeah, I'd have friends like Tony Hsieh from Zappos, and he's like, no, this is all we talk about. This is, culture. And Chip Conley, who founded Joie de Vivre Hotels, which is the second biggest hotelier, boutique hotelier in the world. And he's like, no, this is the only thing. And then guys like Vishen Lakhiani from Mind Valley, he's like, no, this is all I focus on. I'm like, I don't get it. This is kind of BS. This sounds really fluffy. Yeah. But then when you start digging into this, it is everything. And culture also shows up in how you treat your customers and everything else. Yeah. So then you also have your creation, which is the product or service, and how do you bake in that cause? So how do you bake in this inspiration and empowerment and connection into every product or service? And then we have our community. So this is the Evolved Enterprise framework. And this is like, how do you get your customers become your biggest zealots, advocates, fans, so that they're super fans and want to just, want to shout from the rooftops about what you're doing. They want to be like, I remember we had one guy at a Maverick event, and they said that new customers were 80% of their customers came from social shares. So it was like they could spend so much less on marketing and advertising because they were able to use that. Yeah. Wow. And so that's, when you get this part right, that's where you get this turbo boost happening. So, I didn't want to put that in isolation, but that's how it fits into the whole framework.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And so it's funny because of all the things, community was the last thing you said, because you got to address all these things before, I guess, you can really get that community going.
Well, yeah, I mean, so this is, this happens first, then this, and these are concurrent. Yeah. For sure. So, so it's not like, okay, I'm going to work on culture, and then when I get culture right, then we'll work on our community. But you can work on all of them concurrently at this level.
So it's funny. So let's look at this outer ring, because I'm having a bit of a mind epiphany moment, and I want to talk it through. You've got, on the outer ring, you've got creation, culture, and community. I was on a call, I was actually texting on Facebook Messenger with this guy, Alex Hillman, for anyone looking to build a co-work space. Really nice guy, look him up. And I don't know, I found him randomly. He has a podcast all about how to build a co-work place. I didn't even realize this was that big of an industry. But So, and that's not what we're doing here at Lurn. I don't want to build a co-work space, but I do want to build a community.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what co-work spaces have and teach is applicable. Like I can learn a lot from them. And I started listening to his podcast. All he talks about is culture. And he talks about how they treat their members and the lingo and the things that they know. And it was all culture, community culture. And I'm looking at this, you say creation. Well, I created this place. It's here.
That's part of your creation.
It's ready to facilitate the culture I haven't defined yet. Because we actually have conversations where we sit and say, we don't want to allow them to do this.
It's there. It's just not.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, so I'll give you an example. We had a meeting where it was like, well, we don't want our members to do this. That's not, that's not part of the membership. And I took a step back and I said, but what does it really cost us, or how does it really hurt us? And I was like, well, it doesn't. I'm like, well, why don't we just do this for them? Like, let them do it. Let them explore. And so for me, it was like this culture of trust, this culture of support. And like, would I limit my own family and my own home from, using something past 6 o'clock? Like, it's like, there are some rules, but then there are some flexibilities. And I can see how those two intermingled and almost brew the community in and of itself. But I think I would love to do some more exercise myself on the culture definition.
Yeah, and I can, we can talk about some of the specifics of how we've kind of done it with our culture within the organization of our members, right? There's a really strong culture, and that's part of building a community. And there's a lot of crossover between all these things, right? That's why it's in this outer ring and it's all together. And actually, I'll just put this here as a place marker, because this is how we defined our culture.
Maverick so what Yanik just did is he wrote down Maverick in a vertical way, so I think it's going to turn into an acronym, basically.
It is, and then someone else who's a school teacher told me it's called something else as well, but I don't remember because she was much smarter at that.
All right, we're going to stick to acronym.
An acronym was something, if it created a word, it was something else. I forgot what it was called. I only learned about Venn Diagram recently. I mean, I just draw pictures.
I thought that was you're drawing the Olympic logo.
More.
So what's also interesting, because in case she's listening, I got to do a shout out to Missy. Hi, Missy. How are you? Because you've talked about your wife a few times. What was really cool when I went to Necker with you is how ingrained your kids and Missy were in the community. Because Missy was running one of the like the sporting things, and she was like talking to people, running around, and then she came inside. She was in it. You could tell everyone knew who she was. The kids were involved. And I loved that. I thought that you really connected what is your professional career, but with your family.
Well, the kids come every year to Necker with Missy, and they've grown up there essentially, and it's been pretty awesome. Like Richard has actually had Zoe, who's the youngest one, now named. They had triplet lemurs when we were there, or like right before we were there, and he was able to. He's like, yeah, you can name them. And actually, originally we thought they were twins, and then she came up with two names, Zeus and Athena. And she was really into Greek mythology. And he's like, oh, you're raising a pretty brainy child there. And then he emailed me back. He's like, actually, it was triplets with a picture of them. And he's like, we need another name. And like to go out of his way like that.
That is cool.
It's pretty incredible. And she loves it. And there was just a big hurricane there last year. And she was so concerned about her lemurs. And when I saw Richard in South Africa, I asked him, and I got a video for her. And he's like, no, the lemurs are fine. A-OK, they're waiting for you. And
oh, that's great.
And so we're excited to see them. But yeah, so Missy and my family have been involved, and I think you're also thinking about Sophia, who's my cousin. So she's really deeply involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Missy's involved, but Sophia's really deeply involved, and our moms are identical twins. So we're
this is a family affair. I love it.
Family affair,
awesome.
For sure.
All right. Well, let's
talk about the community.
Yeah. So let's move to round number 3, and let's talk about the Maverick community. All right. So go.
Yeah.
Maverick
community. So I'm going to give you some tactical stuff, the real nuts and bolts on how to build a great community.
Yeah.
But it does come with this. Like this is, if you only do this in isolation, you're going to get a tactical kind of Frankenstein level community that is not as deeply rooted.
Now, when he says this, again, just for the podcast listeners, you got to go to the show notes, anikpodcast.com. It's there, the picture, the diagram that he's referring to.
Right. But it starts with, again, with you, and then outward next ring is cause, and then the next 3 rings that are interconnected are this creation, culture, and community. So community piece, like and you sent me one of the questions ahead of time that I looked at for sure, and I was laughing because it was like, hey, give us some specifics. Don't tell us just have a great mission.
Yeah.
And because that's so funny, because having a great mission is actually a thing that you need.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if our mission again is, the 1,000 suns light another 1,000 suns. And we've really aligned with the global goals, which are the UN's global goals about how business can make a difference and leverage business to make a difference in the world. So that is our bigger mission, and that is what members really latch onto.
Got it.
Because that's something different. And I do think as a company for today, from the 21st century, you need a greater mission, and you need something that you can get people really inspired by. So that's the first thing. And that was, that is a tactical thing, but also a global strategy thing.
So, for example, for us, we want to empower 1 million entrepreneurs by the end of this year, 2019.
Yeah, that's a big one.
What we mean by that is we want to put 1 million people inside of our platform,
Okay.
So that they have access to this tremendous knowledge. And I would say that we don't reinstate it enough.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know it. It's the biggest thing in the office.
Do you have a scoreboard on it?
We have a scoreboard, yes.
Okay.
We do. We do have a scoreboard, but I don't think we take enough time to talk about it.
Yeah. And then also figure out ways that your members can become advocates for it.
And we don't promote it to our members.
So I like, inside Evolved Enterprise in the book, I talk about impact scoreboards. And I love this idea of, so I was on a panel with Blake Mykowski, who founded Tom's Shoes, right? And I got to interview Blake and John Mackey from Whole Foods.
Okay.
And so I'm asking Blake, we're talking about Tom's, obviously, and how he never thought it would be this big. And so, but what he always talks about, at that point, it's got, I'm sure more by now, but it was 35 million pairs of shoes that they've given away. So that was their impact scoreboard, right? So everyone on the team knew how many shoes they've given away, everyone on the outside world had known, and so now they know, as reverse engineered, is that they profitably sold 35 million pairs of shoes, right? So for you, if it was empower 1 million entrepreneurs, who knows? Like, what is that becomes the scoreboard? And maybe there's a way of even like reverse engineering it that was something else as well. Like, who knows? Maybe it's 1 million hours of entrepreneurial content that are watched with developing nation entrepreneurs or something like that, right? Like, attached to everyone that came on the platform was something else. And we can even talk, more about. I love, brainstorming on the fly.
Yeah.
And we can even say, okay, what would it look like? But then that becomes your impact scoreboard of, we've given away 1 million hours of online content, and now that translates back to what your real metric is that you want. Anyway.
I like that.
So that's one way of doing it. So that falls on their mission. Language. You talked about like inside jokes.
Yeah.
So inside language is a key piece of having a community. So in lingo, when you're talking about the co-working podcast, so we call them Maverick Moments, and that actually started. So sometimes, a lot of times, the best stuff happens organically, right? So I never had this like an intention. Okay, we're gonna have this language or whatever it is, but Maverick Moments came from that very first Baja trip, where at the end of it we had so many ridiculous like adventures, misadventures, all these things that we called the Maverick Moments. I like alliteration. And so at dinner, in between dinner and dessert, I'm like, okay, share a Maverick moment. And whoever had one would stand up and they would share, and we'd all just crack up laughing. And so now we've continued that for 10 years. A Maverick moment. Every single event we do, there's a Maverick moment time that we do usually on the last night. And it's either like a funny thing that happened or a big insight or aha, and something like really meaningful. And it's so powerful. So that's one unique piece of language, but there's even more. Like, so there's like Maverick Monday, which is a random thing that occurs on a Monday that if our events do overlap on a Monday, it's a great time for being like, Monday's a perfect day for, like, most people are like, oh, they're getting back to work, but Maverick Monday is something completely different. And it could be around impact, it could be around the adventure piece or whatever it is. We also have we call them Maverick multipliers that are within the community, which are usually like people who are either Maverick members or my friends who are like world-class experts, and they will put on events and things like that. We call them Maverick multipliers. So there's a lot of internal language that we use, and probably the biggest internal language that you want to think about as a community is, what am I called, right? So if I said, hey, that guy's a real Trekkie, would you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah, okay, so from our, right, exactly. Right. If you're on the in, you know what that is.
Apparently Joe likes Star Trek, everybody. All right.
How about burner? I'm a burner.
Nope. Joe?
No idea.
Abraham, are you a burner? Jimmy?
Well, there's probably two definitions, but a burner is for they attend Burning Man. So they're a burner.
Okay.
And like people who attend TED, they usually refer to themselves as TEDsters, and so it's like, what is the language? So obviously Maverick fits really well with you want the whatever follows this, which is
I am.
And by the way, this is like
blank.
A really powerful,
Yeah.
empowering phrase anyway, or disempowering depending on your words. I started as a copywriter.
It's biblical right there, man.
It's totally biblical, right? We need to add a little bit of the burning bush here.
Yeah.
But so I am, and this is, I'm going off on a little maybe of a tangent, but it's so powerful. It's like whatever you include after that is what is going to come to pass,
yeah.
and especially with emotion. And so if so for us as a community, we want them to say, "I am a Maverick," and they more often than not will identify themselves as a Maverick, and because of these close connections that they form. And we even had one guy that said, "I want to." It's pretty fun drawing upside down.
That looks like a grave.
It is.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he wants to have that.
He said he wants to have on his tombstone that says, "Here lies a Maverick."
Oh,
like that's a pretty high level of engagement, of identification, and you have it when people want to like tattoo your brand on their arm, and you think about like Harley Davidson, right, or Mac or Jack Daniels. I know I have a lot of people that tattoo stuff on there, but Harley Davidson for sure. But that's a perfect so we had at one of our Maverick trips we had Rich Tierlink, who's the former CEO of Harley Davidson, come, and he shared with us how they built their community, and basically the community saved them, right? They were at, I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
It's a pretty famous like sort of business case study. I think it was in the late '80s. They were pretty much in dire straits of what was going on with them, and their community banded together and like, no, we we want this thing to succeed. We want you to stay in business, and that's another thing. Like how our product or service went out of business. And that's how you have to move from being a transactional company to being a transformational company. And this is the evolved enterprise kind of piece. So you keep moving up this ladder from being a transactional company where really you're competing on price or promotion or whatever it is, to being so this is transactional. This is transformational, which is where you want everyone's identity to change based on your connection to them. And that's where this identity, I am a whatever, really starts forming. And then at the highest level is transcending, which is how do you make your business be even more than what a business is? Like,
transcending, like how do you get someone to put your logo on their tombstone?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that to me is the ultimate. We actually had we had one wedding at a Maverick event, which was pretty awesome. They got engaged and got married on the same event, and
wow.
And it was a second wedding, right? Second marriage for them both, but just the fact that they didn't wait for their friends, family, right? Their friends and family were kind of pissed off when they came home, but they're like, this is our family. This is who we want to share this with.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't come from...
That's pretty crazy.
It comes from intentional, but it also comes with intentionality of what we want to put into it, which is, truly serving that community. So we talked about language, we talked about mission, unique adventures, like unique experiences, that does bond people together in a deep way. And so when you bring tribes together for unique things, that's why you'll see like companies like Vans bought the Warp Tour. So they used to be a big sponsor of it, but then they ended up buying them because they couldn't put something on. When you get people offline in the IRL in real life, like there's something powerful there.
There's a big comeback right now for physical events. Like it had died away for a few years, and now some of the biggest brands are running these multi-thousand, like internet marketing brands that are running multi-thousand people events. But I was a recent Facebook post about, this was, I don't remember who posted it. They were comparing Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, and Gary Vee and their growth based on social media graphs or whatever. And Grant Cardone had the most consistent upward swing. It was just going up and up and up and up. And the rest of the Ty and Gary Vee had like these ups and downs and ups and downs, and trends were weird. And the theme of it was exactly that. They said that it is because Grant, of all three of them, Grant's the only one who's consistently doing
the events,
his own events and escalating the size of them.
his community together.
And so,
that's interesting. I think we can do a whole nother podcast on events and experiences because I've done quite a few of them, and I have some strong opinions on I think what works, but I think it has to be an experience. Like that's what we used to do. You mentioned early on about meeting Corey at Underground, and if you remember, that was an experience. Like it wasn't just all right, get on stage, and there's the the little curtain behind everybody, and the little light, and off you go, and go sell us something, right? Just have your PowerPoint and go. Like it was. So every year was a different spy theme. It was and. I can't begin to even tell you how many people are like, oh yeah, I met so-and-so at Underground. They're an amazing partner or a friend or whatever it was. And I get credit for it. So that's the cool thing about building a community and having a unique live experience is you get credit for something that you might not even have a hand in, but because you created that sandbox for them. And it only happens from having something that's not generic, that's not sort of run-of-the-mill.
So do you know this story? And then we'll move on because I definitely have so many questions to ask you, but I got to tell you the story because I don't think you know it. Underground LA, was it? It was West Coast. Where was it?
Was there an LA one? There might have been an LA. Yeah, there was one LA one because I had the guy from 24.
We had Yes, it was a 24 theme. Yeah. Okay, yes. All right. I have another one.
Story about that one.
You had
too.
The Austin Powers one.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
That was. Did I ever tell you about my elevator ride with him?
Probably not.
He was hammered.
Yeah, that would make
like
sense.
6 in the morning. It was interesting. But this you don't know. In LA, I came to Underground. This is when my business was really falling apart. Okay, it was at its worst. And you had a speaker. I think he was from the dating space. Mm-hmm. And I don't like sitting in events. I can't. I'm too fidgety. But that one I did. I needed to find a solution to something, and I really felt like calling that by sitting in here, I'll find my answer as to why I'm going broke. And this guy comes up on stage and he says, I mail my list 5 times a day.
Right, you're like, what?
And I'm looking at this guy like, I'm the email marketer, and I even tell you, you're crazy. He's like, I mail my list 5 times a day. There's my, whatever, like, and it works, and this and that, and my monetization. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and I thought, oh my God, I haven't mailed my list in like 3 months. So I had this moment where I ran out of the event and I went to a corner in the lobby and I called up my team and I said, what are we doing? It was because I was off chasing the next big thing and I was ignoring the model that had been working my whole life. And that was the beginning of the fixing because I did begin to. So here's another story of where you're right. I remember that event. I remember it was Underground. I know that was Yanik who put the event on. But it was a speaker who gave me a golden nugget.
Right.
I ran out. I haven't even had a chance to tell you till this day.
That's awesome.
But I've connected it to you ever since.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And like so many partnerships and amazing things happen. Actually, Amazing was formed out of Maverick, out of two people from there. Like so,
that's
all
cool.
sorts of like when you create that sandbox, all these, and then you get the kudos of it. Yeah. And it's not like, I'm not like, oh, Anik, I made you who you are today because you were at Underground. Like for me, I'm just so joyful that was like an inspiration something. And a catalyst for it. Yeah, so these events are really important to have, to me, an experience, to have a way of bringing people together. Some of the other pieces are artifacts. So you see I'm wearing a bunch of bracelets.
Okay. So something that it's like if someone sees it on you from far, they're like,
Ideally.
Okay.
So, and people have done this in not good ways, but in better ways and then less great ways where like they're like, okay, we need we need something that's going to identify our members. We're going to give them like this little shitty
badge.
whatever it is, right? It's like, who the hell wants to wear that?
Yeah.
So we get our members all the time who wear our gear because it's Maverick is cool. It's like a cool name that they want to be associated with, and B, they also want to continue being associated with the people that are part of it. And the gear, we spend a lot of time on design. We take some of the best gear out there from the manufacturers, and then we don't stick like our logo on there like super bold. Sometimes it's real subtle. It could be just our little hand sign, or have Maverick right here or whatever, and we'll have a big design like for our summits. We always have an artist create a unique design for our theme, and then it's encoded somewhere in there, and then usually on the sleeve it'll say Maverick, and people love wearing them. We don't skimp on the quality of the material. Like the t-shirts are super soft, super amazing. I'm looking at the bill, I'm like, do we really? And Sophia's like, yeah, we need it. And,
that's great.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things. And then also like these bracelets, Actually, this one was from our last event in Colombia. So this is an emerald to signify Colombia, and I can't remember what the other stones are, but a lot of times we've created these bracelets that are one-offs for every meaningful trip that we do, and then they'll have that. And, you know, no one knows that this is a Maverick thing.
Except for them.
Maybe, yeah. Or they just wear it, but they also, like, this becomes a tangible reminder of what the transformation was that they experienced there.
Got it.
Right? And so for me, I wear different ones just to signify what I care about. Like, this is from recycled plastic that comes out of the ocean.
Oh, it's those guys I see on the commercials.
Probably for ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've gotten really big. I mean,
Yeah.
this is, you know, talk about an involved enterprise. I mean, they've gotten big, where this is like...
Big TV ads now.
Are they doing the TV
Huge,
ads?
yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
Funny. So, you know...
Fox News, all the channels.
Yeah, each of these signifies something to me. Like, this is a client sent it to me, like, he sends it to 10 people that have been impactful in their lives every year, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. This is like for Pachamama Alliance, one of the nonprofits that we work with in the headwaters of the Amazon. So it's like, you know, I don't wear a watch anymore. I don't wear any jewelry really. It's like, that to me is, you know, a pretty significant thing.
That's cool.
And the other artifacts are, you know, stickers on laptops. If you can own real estate on places. It used to be like iPhone covers. We used to have a bunch of members that would have Maverick covers on their phones, and now the covers have gotten pretty intricate where we don't have covers for them anymore, but we'll have stickers and we'll have all sorts of stuff, and they want to wear them, and we have, or not wear them, put them on, but then we have little laptop stickers that go on the inside, and they're almost like badges, like if you stick them on the, not in the inside, on the outside of your laptop, and it shows like, these are all the events and places that I've been.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a pivot here and move on to, I think we're on round 4. I want to ask you about marketing. All right, marketing. I live right next to you. I've been to an event, which we're going to talk about because it was so cool. But I've never seen a Facebook ad. I've never seen a Google ad. You don't do launches. You don't do affiliate promotions. You don't have a sales team from what I asked you, so there's no call center where people are calling it. How are you selling memberships? Because I know that it's not inexpensive. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's up to $22,000 to join and become a Maverick.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're not out hustling marketing, sales, and yet I've been to the events. It's tons of people are there. They're all members. I'm trying to put the pieces together. How do you market this?
It's funny because, yeah, I am and was an internet digital marketer, and we don't do that much of it. I will ask for help if there's anyone listening that is a great digital marketer and wants to come on board and do some awesome stuff with us. Ping me. But no, it's like, to me, the way that it's been built is it's always been a nomination, invitation only kind of process, where I'm much more interested in organically bringing in the right people. Okay. And so it's from personal relationships, it's from members referring someone else in there, it's from them reading an article about us or seeing something somewhere and being like, oh, this is really intriguing, maybe I'll apply and find out. And we did have a salesperson at one point, and I think we're going to hire someone else again, but I always told them, you can't take a credit card. And he's like, what? I'm like, no, you can't take a credit card. And that was also part of the way that we ran sales, was like, hey, you know, I'm so-and-so, I'm here to talk to you about the group and see if you're a fit for us and we're a fit for you, and don't worry, I can't take a credit card. Because I wanted to take that off of the, you know, this idea, because they're talking to high-level entrepreneurs, and they're like, okay, what are you selling me, you know, what's the deal? And it's like, no, and it's a membership-driven, it's a member-driven org, where a lot of times, and we'll be updating the sales process now because we're actually ready to grow. Because, you know, the goal has always been 1,000 sons. Yeah. So now we're ready. You know, there's about 100 who are active and 200 that are alumni. And it's like we're going to be starting to invite back the alumni that really gel with this whole notion of global goals and making an impact in the world. And what does that look like? We're not just going off on a crazy adventure, but we're more than that. And, you know, there'll be some
So when you
adventures.
When you say alumni, so I know that, like, there's a fee to join. Is that every year that gets renewed?
Yeah.
And when you're an alum, is it like a 1-year program? Like, how do you become an alumni?
They dropped out.
Okay. So they just, at some point, they didn't renew their membership.
But it's so funny because they still identify, so many of them, with being Mavericks, and their best friends are Maverick members, and they're like really tight together. So there's something that we've done that's been really well. And for most of them, you know, some of them are like a quick, oh, I came to something not my cup of tea. Bye. Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's
okay too. That's the whole point of a community, right? It's not supposed to be for everybody.
No, exactly. And I think you want to polarize people, and you want them to really love you. And I don't believe in like them really hating you, but I believe in like you want them to like really, really love you. So it's like this is what we stand for, and so that's where our creed comes in as well, which is what are the Maverick kind of core values and what does that look like, and we incorporate that into different ways. So like M is I am a multiplier, A I am abundance minded, V I'm a visionary, E I'm extraordinary, R I reconnect. Reimagine, rethink, and I is I'm impactful, C is I'm a co-creator, connector, catalyst, and K is kiss, kiss, bang, bang, which is it's kind of a fun thing. But we incorporate these pieces into
now. Do you
their
think
community.
Every Maverick could do they know
Could they
that?
recite that?
Yeah, do they know that?
It's really interesting.
Is that important?
It's important in some aspects because I want them to know what does it mean to be a Maverick, and I want them to because everyone has their own take on it. They can all tell you these 3 circles for sure. They can all share with you. It's about making more, growing more, giving more, and having more fun or whatever. Like, and they'll probably say it in their own 3 words. But this part, when we bring in new members, there's actually a ritual, and that's another thing about membership or communities is you want to have rituals and you want to have creeds. And part of the ritual, I won't share with you exactly what it is, but part of the ritual does involve them restating this and the members saying it as well. So they hear it over and over again. There's a lot of repetition that happens.
Are there hoodies involved and fires and any goats being sacrificed?
No goats are harmed.
Dang it, that would make it fun.
It's really interesting. We used to have.
That's seriously that's the visual.
That's what you envisioned.
Visual. You said ritual. I saw hoodies.
Dude, I don't know where this. I think you're finally ready to come in. It's been it's been 15 years or whatever.
It has been some
but
time.
It's time. And I think you would get a lot out of it, and you would love it. But yeah, then you would see what the ritual is. We had to change it because our whole ocean advocacy last year, part of what we did was actually not super friendly for the ocean. So we're like, okay, we have to walk our talk here. And
wait, what? Hold on. We got to go back because I remember watching a really cool documentary of something you did for the ocean with Sir Richard Branson.
Exactly.
There is that the thing that wasn't?
No.
Okay.
It's part of our membership ritual when we brought new members in.
Okay.
It involved a massive amount of green saran wrap.
So
there's a lot of plastic that was being wasted. So, again, like as you evolving you.
God, I want to know what it was.
Evolving you, once you know, it's really hard to like close that door. That's why I don't eat tuna anymore because while I work in the ocean advocacy space, like most tuna is like 98% is overfished. So now I'm like, we don't have tuna. I don't want tuna served at our events. We also went I really believe in for the people that we serve, a lot of them put on their own events and own things. And it's like, okay, how do we become also a great quote unquote role model, but like give them other tools. So now we start doing, we pay for members when they come, we offset their carbon credits, like however far they flew. We offset them with grass, with seagrass, which is actually one of the biggest producers of oxygen. And so that's all part of our ocean advocacy.
Wow.
So now we do that as a surprise for them. There's like a little notepad or a little note card that shows up on their spot and says, hey, we offset your flight to get here by buying seagrass for you, and this is why it is. And then we want, hopefully some of them keep doing it and do it maybe with their events or whatever they do.
Yeah.
And then we also got rid of almost all single-use plastic at our events. We got rid of as much bottled water as we could. That's why I got my big green water bottle that's around, right? So. But, it's as you know about these things.
Just look over there. Joe's pointing to like 4 bottles.
But right. So
I feel bad
but
right
there's
now.
I'm not like shaming. It's about, okay, now.
You're not shaming, but I am ashamed.
Well, good. So then maybe that becomes something that you change, and it becomes also something that you want to share with people because, again, every ripple has these ongoing ripples, and that's what I care about is like, how do I make the biggest ripple of impact?
Dang. So you're not just making money, building Mavericks, changing the world. And so, it's funny because this whole segment started with how do you market, but I guess that's how you market. Because right now you're marketing, you're getting your vision, your mission, and there are people listening that are saying, man, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a part of that.
So what we look for is industry leaders, people who are at the top of their game, who have been successful and are asking, okay, what's next?
So correct me if I'm wrong. For me, when I look at your marketing plan, this is what I had decided a while ago when I was, dissecting your marketing plan without asking you about it. I just figured, hey, you know what? You were very well connected to begin with as an internet marketer. You knew people that that had money, that were looking for a little bit more adventure, and that kind of helped you spark your first set of members. Was as simple as asking, hey, do you want to do this?
Totally. Yeah.
And then from there, it was up to you to make that experience so amazing that they would come back and say, wow, that was amazing. And so they're out there now spreading the word for you, and your membership is exclusive. You have to basically be invited in and apply to be in. And so that goes the next step for you.
I wish it was as easy as that, right? Like that was my original plan. It was like, yeah, we're going to, I know a bunch of people, I'll invite them in. But it was with, so I'll draw another diagram for you, which...
AnikPodcast.com for the show notes if you want to see these awesome diagrams.
Yeah, so this is joy, right? And joy to me is different than happiness. And you and I both asked, am I happy? And happy to me could be, eating an ice cream sundae. I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's a fleeting thing. But joy is feeling fully utilized, fully like using all your talents, all your resources, everything. Like, what were you meant to do here, right? And so that's when we talked about being in alignment with. We talked about our head, our heart, and our higher purpose. So to me, that's where joy is in this alignment. Then you also have this.
Looks like a flower.
This is pain. And pain is basically the universe bonking you on the head, telling you, no, that's not the right way. And when you're in alignment, the pain walls are a lot shorter, and you're kind of navigating up like this in a smoother way. When you're like this, losing money, health, whatever it is, like all these things are bonking you on the head repeatedly. And so when I originally said, yeah, okay, I know a bunch of people, I'm going to put on this event, it's going to be adventure, cool things, and charity elements, and business sessions, and that was really good, except for like we lost $35,000 on the first trip. I'm like, oh, that's all right, we'll make it up in volume, as the saying goes. But no, I said, whatever, it's an investment, it's a whole different kind of business. I'm willing to invest in it. And then when it got to $400,000, that was a big enough bonk on the head that I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. Or my wife said that. But it really, again, forced me to look at what did I really want to do. And my greatest joy was in exactly what we're talking about here. So I wish it was just as easy as like, oh yeah, we got the right people and then they shared it. But it really, I had to get in alignment with what it is. And now the right people are in what we're doing. And now it's like, okay, now I'm ready to actually put the foot on the gas a little bit more and start inviting people in and bring them into our world.
Love it.
And maybe now you'll see an ad.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I hope so. I hope so. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move into the next round. We're gonna tell fun stories in the next round. So, here's the story, right? One of my dreams, one of probably the biggest dreams I've had, it was on my dream board, was to meet Sir Richard Branson.
Yeah.
I'm not usually starstruck. I've met a lot of people in my life that are very big. Something about that guy. And so I knew the avenue to meet him. If obviously there's a way to become a Maverick and then to pay for that trip. But I wanted to do it more organically. I guess in my mind, it was very important to me that I not pay for it. I wanted it to happen, like I wanted the universe to make it happen. And I forgot about it. And one day you messaged me and you said, hey, I need your help. I'm launching my book. Can you help me sell some of these books? And I thought to myself, well, that was right around, by the way, it was only months before that we had said no more affiliate promotions, no more anything. And it was the first time you really ever asked me for anything.
Yeah, I'm getting better as an asker. I'm not a great asker. I'm a much better giver.
It was the first time you ever asked me for anything. I felt all this reciprocity, all this like, oh, I got to do it. But I can't go off of my mission and what I've said to people and who I am. And I got to say, then you go, by the way, top prize, you get to come to Necker Island with me and meet Richard Branson. And I'm like, see, that's just the universe talking. Like I can't. Who am I to fight the universe? So we put our marketing plan together, and I think I told you, I'm like, if I get in, I'm in. Like I will win that thing. If that means
I'm putting some effort into this.
Yeah, if I have to sell 1,000 copies of my mother, it's gonna happen. Like I will make this happen, and we did.
You guys were.
And then there was
awesome.
then there was the other part of it, which you said, hey, there's this like all the revenue from the book goes to Village Enterprise.
Right.
And what you don't know, I don't know if you know this, is, man, there's a lot of things you don't know about how you've impacted me. I should probably start talking to you more. So what happened when you said that is, first of all, how many internet marketers do we know that actually give a crap about the world and about other people in a public way to give back? It's a big complaint of mine, and I'm going to do something this year to help fix that.
We're going to talk about give back now.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned give back, I'm going to have to...
So anyways, I was like, wow, Yanik is doing something good for the world. So I get to, hold on, so this is really the universe talking. Like I get to meet Sir Richard Branson, I get to serve my community, and I get to give back, and we can raise money for a school, for a village,
yeah.
right, for a village. So I go off and look at, what is this village enterprise? Sounds interesting. And I had just 4 months before that, I had done a TEDx talk. I had flown all the way to Wiltz and done a TEDx talk about how much I hate giving, and I only like empowering. And my wife and I have our own nonprofit where we build schools in India, and we work under every school we build is basically a small business. I never have to give it money ever again. It's self-sufficient. It's very important to me.
Yeah, I love it.
And
I didn't know that part. I knew you built schools, and I didn't know that.
It's $45,000,
piece.
and that's it for the rest of its life. And actually, the whole organization that we've built in partnership with a couple in India, after 50 schools, it'll be so profitable that it will be able to build 5 schools a year on its own and run and maintain, and never need another penny. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's really cool. What is the self-sustaining business?
We charge these children, we charge their parents for them to come to school, even though they literally live in cardboard boxes, and the equivalent of like $10 a month to come for school.
Wow.
And
cool.
because we want them to take it seriously.
Right, no, exactly.
And it
right.
works.
They got skin in the game.
So when I looked into Village Enterprise, so when I finished my TEDx talk, many people asked me, where can we do what you said? We love your talk. We love this. You know, we have over 100-some thousand views on YouTube, and for months, the first few months, I'm like, hey, TEDx or TED is about ideas. I don't know. It was an idea. Village Enterprise is as damn close to a living embodiment of what I taught in that TEDx talk. So I got so excited. You connected us to the president and CEO founder, and she called me, and I was like, I don't want to talk. Like, please, can I just send you an 18-minute video that I did at TEDx talk? Like, can you just watch it? Do this for me, and then we'll talk. She's like, yeah, send it. She calls me back later. She goes, oh my God, like we need to do more work together. That's what we do. I said, I know. Like, isn't that crazy? So we've since then funded one more school.
Yeah, I knew that part because I've talked to Lucy and Diane
and I'm
Enterprise about that.
They don't know this yet, but I think it's July or August. I forgot. They told me a month. I think I'm going out there because it's done. Like the Lurn Village, as I call it, is up and running.
I knew that too. Diane told me.
Oh,
but
I saw that picture of you sitting on the Maverick Village sign. Totally going to do that picture, but I think we'll be doing 2 more this year with them. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome. I love that, and for so many ways, because again, like that ripple of impact, right?
Yeah.
Like how it keeps going. So Village Enterprise, we've been working with them for, I think, like a decade. I actually had a conversation this morning with a really interesting guy from Founders Pledge, and I'll hook you up with them. They're really interesting,
awesome.
Where every founder pledges a certain amount of their stock of their company towards companies. And the way that we got connected again, there's like 3 people that said we have to talk, but they do extensive research because their founders are like, like big time venture-backed company founders, right? Like who have tremendous exits. They don't have time to think about, okay, where is my money going to go? Yeah. And one of their actual nonprofits that they recommend is Village Enterprise, and so they were really, really happy about getting that recommendation. It means a big deal. Like they have a full-time analyst or multiple analysts that go through and figure out what they're doing. And I think Village Enterprise is like poised to really take off. Like their model works incredibly well. They teach micro entrepreneurs to create these. There's 3 of them in one micro enterprise, and it creates self-sustainment and creates empowerment.
That's amazing.
And it feeds I think their entire family, and you see
1,000 people out of extreme world poverty.
Right. Yeah. So for one village, so that was our goal. From that launch of the book was like, okay, we want to connect it to this one village, and then you've now since built a village. You're going to do multiple things with them. Yeah. Who knows how many people you've turned on to them. We had, one of my friends who helped me with Evolved Enterprise, Dmitry Kozlov. He's now built a village as well through his influencer websites that he does. So it's like ripple.
Hey, I gave him money for that, so I kind of
Nice.
have a little piece of that village
There you
too.
go.
To me and Tree, if
That's
you're
right.
watching, all right.
That's right. And you got a big piece of the village that we did in East Africa.
It was awesome. So we did go through and we promoted the book, and I did win it. And
Yeah, I remember looking at Mike on my team was like calling me. He was texting me. He's like, "Holy crap, dude! You have to check out the cart." I've never seen our cart go crazy like that for a long time because I haven't done launches and promotions in a huge amount of time. And then our list, candidly, is not like rabid like that anymore. It's more of a small curated group of people that I talk to a lot.
We're very blessed to have an awesome Lurn Nation, and
That's
I
right.
love you guys for it. So we walked away with that, and at one point I knew I won it, but it became a matter of honor. I think it was 1,000 that I had to get past, and then we just shot past that.
It was freaking awesome, and it was so cool, and to see it, and then so you came to Necker with us.
I first landed in the islands, and I stayed with. I ended up running into the very people I'm staying with at the airport, and I was expecting. I don't know why in my head I was expecting like stuffy executive types. Like there's just very fun. They were all family. Like the three of them were basically brother and cousin, and I'm living in the same home with them. Great time though, amazing people.
Oh, it was Tom.
Tom, yeah. And so then when we head to Necker, I gotta tell you, we got off the boat, and we entered the island, and someone's like, well, and someone pat because someone over there knew this was a big dream of mine. They're like, welcome to Necker, and I had to just stand there. And I felt like 2 more steps in, and I'm actually going to make one of my biggest dreams in my life come true. And then what the heck do I do after that? And the next thing I know, there I am staring at his like a half zoo on Necker Island. And then I walk into I'm walking around everywhere, and I'm like, what is going on? And then at night, I'm standing on the other side, and Sir Richard Branson himself is standing on the opposite end of the room, and I'm too scared. I cannot go to say hi to him and I've never been scared like that with anyone in my life. And you come over and you're like, hey, didn't you want to meet him? I'm like, and spoke to him for a minute. He was just.
Yeah, I shared with him a little bit about what you're doing here in Maryland.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was. If he came in here, I think I would pass out. If he even stepped foot, I would pass out. But what I loved about that moment, what I remember is actually not even his talk. I know he talked to us and stuff. It was the dinner, and it was he's just such a fun dude. I mean, the guy put on music, and we were all having a good time. And this is when I was like, okay, Mavericks are crazy. People are climbing onto things, they're dancing, and I'm like, do you realize you are in the presence of Sir Richard Branson? Act normal. But then I look over at him, and he's having just as much fun. It was quite a defining moment for me where I realized, man, you can be worth billions and just have an absolute blast in life. And that guy, he's figured it out.
He has figured it out. I've been really blessed to meet a lot of my heroes and people I look up to and mentors and so forth. And, sometimes you're disappointed. You're like, they don't quite, measure up.
Many times.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah. But I've been, really blessed to meet some people that are authentic, like who they are on paper is who they are in person. And Richard's one of those people that I've, really been blessed to have that relationship with, and it's been incredible. I mean, we've been doing this trip for 10 years now, and I've also gotten to serve on one of the boards for his charity, and so it's we share a lot of common connections. You mentioned the craziness and having fun, and we definitely have that DNA in common where I like instigating stuff. He likes instigating stuff. Usually it's like, he's like, here, Yanik, go do this thing. Go jump over the fire. Like we were in South Africa and we were having like an amazing ceremony by some of the local tribesmen, and they're jumping over the fire. And he's like, here, you go do that. And I'm like, okay, after you though. And he's like, fine. He's like, I'm, whatever he is, 66, 67 at this point. He's like, let's go. And then he jumps over the fire and we did, I don't know if it was the year you were there, we did a Q&A with us both in mermaid outfits. Was that the year you were there?
That was the year. I wasn't going to mention that because I didn't know if we were allowed to produce those details, but okay, now that you put it out there, that's how Sir Richard Branson came out he put a mermaid outfit on.
He was regularly dressed, and it was to celebrate this, the World War II ship that we sunk to create this artificial reef that was one of our key projects.
Yes.
And so it was all about like ocean advocacy, and so our team had mermaid outfits for me and him, and so he gets in his and I get in my tail, and he's like, come on, do it for real. And he takes off his shirt, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And then
we're
after
in
that,
for real.
we had dinner and danced to
Yeah.
Greek music. It was...
Yeah, exactly. You know, he loves that stuff. I once surprised him. We mentioned the guys from Amazing who came out of Maverick, and Matt and Jason, and they hired Richard to come and do a keynote for them. And at the night, just as like a last minute thing, we convinced his publicist or whoever, like, you know, it'd be a really funny joke if I came in as a showgirl.
So I was there in the audience.
Were you there?
and I did not know that you were at the event. And I was very concerned, Yanik. This is the time when I really did think you had lost your mind. Remember, I was like, I don't know what he's doing. Why is he doing this? And then you came out in a showgirl outfit, and you remained in the outfit for some time because I came to see you afterwards, and it was very awkward. But it was funny. And later on, as I learned of your relationship with Sir Richard Branson, I was like, oh, I get it. So to correct myself, I actually did meet him there. I got a chance to shake his hand.
Oh, you were part of the meet and greet there.
I didn't count that. That was like, I couldn't even say hi to him. Like, it was like a chain, like, move on, move on.
Right.
So
That was pretty funny.
It was. So everyone who's listening right now, you guys probably are like, what the heck are these two talking about? Like their own inside jokes. But that's what I got from just one event. Well, I was only there for a couple of days. And so this is the kind of opportunity that every Maverick gets. The Necker Island is an opportunity every Maverick gets. So just for everyone who's listening, because I'm sure they're getting curious, how does someone explore the opportunity if they are a fit for Maverick?
Yeah, so Maverick1000.com. They can check out the site. We're really looking for these industry game changers, people who are just disruptors in their own space, who have a global vision or a global mission for what they want to do in the world, who have something big that they want to do. They've already done something big, but they know they have got even something bigger in store for them, and that's who we support.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So before we go into our rapid fire round, Yanik, I just wanted to say, like, anything that you want to share with, give a message to our community, to the Lurn Nation community, because I'm going to go back and think about this. What can they be doing? I mean, I'm going to do my part, but what can they be doing to help solidify our community even more?
Let's play a little game.
Yeah?
I brought you a...
Uh-oh.
I brought you...
Please don't put the showgirl outfit on.
No showgirl outfit. This is called the Cosmic Journal.
Oh.
And this is not what the cover is going to be, so if you're looking at this, it's not quite that, but...
He's got a bit of a binder.
This started as... So as a kid, I wanted to be a professional hockey player and a cartoonist in the off season.
Okay.
And I think that all the things that you're really attracted to, interested in, come back full circle over and over again, but at a higher level.
Okay.
And so I started this art project, this challenge, which I was like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it. Originally, it was a 100-day art challenge. I'm like, 108 days has more meaning for me. So 108 days.
You just keep taking numbers and adding to them.
No,
111,
it's actually,
108.
from a Hindu tradition. 108
okay.
is a very big number. And there's a lot of cosmology to it as well. I think it's something like 108 moons equal the distance to the Earth, and like 108 Earths equal the distance to the Sun, or something like approximately.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot more to 108. So anyway, every single night, no matter how tired I was, wherever I was in the world, I would do an illustrated journal and a piece on it. So this is the Cosmic Journal. It works like an oracle. So the message to Lurn Nation is going to be on you. So flip to any page.
Flip to any page.
Yeah,
just so if you're
the highlighter,
listening,
too.
I have a journal in my hand, and I'm going to flip to the following page.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, God. The subject line says, at the top says, what needs to die? Oh.
This is a great one.
Oh, I like that one at the bottom.
Yeah, what needs to die for something greater to be born? Big one.
Wow.
It's really interesting that you flip to that, too, because... So I work with the Mayan sort of glyphs, and I'm really, like, before 2012, when the Mayan calendar changed, like, I really got intrigued by the Mayan calendars and 13 calendars and then their whole cosmology. And so this is a Mayan glyph called, I think, Simi, or Kimi. I think it's Simi.
Okay.
And so this is when I did it at Camp Maverick, which is an event that we run once a year in the summertime. I actually shared during my presentation, like for the first time ever, about these cards and these oracle cards, and I drew one in front, as a joint shared energy with the whole crowd, and it was that, which is death, which means death. But so it can be taken in a literal sense, or it can be taken in a metaphorical sense of, okay, what needs to die for something greater to be born, and I'm upside down reading, so if there's anything that stands out for you.
Let's read. Can I read it out loud?
Yeah, read it out loud.
All right. The natural cycles of life go from birth to death to rebirth, but we do not need to die a physical death in order to see a rebirth. It's an intentional death and surrender in order to have something even greater emerge. The Mayan sign of Simi symbolizes death, and the color is forest green. The forest is constantly in the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, creating a beautiful order. Death, as our collective ally, asks you to cut away outgrown parts of you, your business, and your life that no longer serve you. There's a natural vacuum that occurs when you create space. Let go. Initially, let go what is not needed for you anymore, or you'll be forced to let go forcefully. Be willing to do this with intention and open eyes. Fully surrender. Let go. Open new pathways for your bigger story to be written and lived. Think of any massive death you've had, like illness, divorce, failure, separation,
yeah.
etc. It allows you to become a new stagnation. It allows you to become a new. Stagnation builds up to catalyzing force that will create change one way or another. AKA stop effing around from the universe.
So
I like it.
yeah, right. I mean, this really fits what we've been talking about, because if you think about your greatest spots where you're in the most pain, or where what happened, it was a result of not giving into this natural order of birth, rebirth, and it's like when we actively pursue this period of reinvention and what needs to die in order for something new to be reborn, then we're in the natural process. When we stop, then it's going to be more forceful, like what I created on that drawing of, like, the universe keeps bonking you on the head over and over again, harder and harder, to get you to change and get you to move.
I get to think about this. This is cool. I like
We'll
this.
put this in the show notes. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to share that. So this
Yes.
is something called the Cosmic Journal, which will be available at some point.
Joe
really
will take a
soon.
picture of it.
Yeah,
that's.
actually, I got a gift for you. This is one of the first galleys of it. This has all my
Oh,
drawings
wow.
in here.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
This is cool. I like this. So how often can you do this? Like, how often I can't do it like every day. Like,
Well, you
what's
could
the
if you
message for the
want.
day?
Yeah, why not?
Oh,
you can
okay.
do whatever you want. It's actually, so it's written in a way that you could actually, every single day, you could go through it in a sequential way.
Now I got a little piggy. Cool.
Pigs flying, it says, why not? Or, it's a sequential
cool.
way, and then on the left-hand page are, like, ways for you to incorporate what your own thoughts are about it. And
This is really cool, man. This is deep.
No, I'm really excited by this. This
Yeah.
is like what I've shown it to so many people. They're like, this is amazing when I show them the original. And then one of my buddies, so this is what happens when the universe aligns with you. One of my buddies is like, I'm paying, to make 1,000 copies for you. I'm like, oh.
So you
okay.
got, I'll introduce you to someone who's got a big list and a big Facebook following that is very spiritual. They would just
Nice.
eat this up. Zane's Zane's
Yeah,
database
that'd be
would just-
perfect, because this
yeah.
is, to me, like this bridge between spirituality and business. Like, so this is really designed for, imagine like the galactic instruction manual that you wish you had when you were born about what is your highest purpose on Earth.
I have
as
to
an
say
entrepreneur.
this. Do you know what Zane just asked me 2 days ago?
I have no idea.
He said, "Do you know anyone that can help me connect spirituality with business?"
Right?
Because he wants to start
I would
talking.
love to be one of those people.
He wants to start talking more about business with his list, but there was a spirituality list. And I jokingly said, "Do you think there's experts out there who specialize in converting spirituality email lists to business?" And then you just said this. So yeah, wow, you gotta meet Zane.
Awesome.
You'll love him. He's awesome too.
I like Zane. I
He
like the letter
moved-
Z.
He moved from Sedona, Arizona
Yeah.
to here, just because he wants to support what we're doing at Lurn. So you talk about people that will do an
Nice.
uproot
Well,
everything.
that's
so
pretty good. So that means
yeah.
that we're neighbors now.
Yeah, he lives in Germantown, and he's going to move to Gaithersburg, and he's here all the time. He's awesome. He's a killer guy. You'll love him.
Awesome.
Man, this is powerful stuff.
Yeah,
It's
so
been a great session,
We'll take a picture
and
of this to make sure they're in the show notes. Because
yes, everybody, listen. Get a hold of this guy. So Maverick1000.com
Yeah.
is good, but where can they connect more with you? You don't really do social media.
I don't do that.
and
I'm
like
gonna. You know what? It's kind of funny because I've been laying low.
Come on, you gotta take selfie pictures and pucker your lips.
Yeah,
and
it's like I'm.
let out the 12-year-old girl, man.
I'm actually ready to start being a bigger voice.
I thought you were gonna say I'm ready to start being a 12-year-old girl.
That too. Well, my daughter's teaching me about that. She's 11 and into social media. But now I'm really ready to stand up for this idea of how do you connect your head, your heart, your highest purpose? How do you show up as what you were meant to do here in the world and help instigate these people. Like, I think my real role is to catalyze the catalyst. Like, I don't need to stand, like, I don't need to be the star and stand up in front of 50,000 people and share, whatever. Yeah. But I want to stand up in front of the right 1,000 people that have big reach and leverage and be part of whatever we're doing together, and also help maybe inspire them a little bit, instigate them a little bit, maybe introduce them to some really odd, interesting, amazing shamans and indigenous elders and healers that I've worked with, and help them become a greater version of who they are. Like, that's fun for me.
Wow, awesome. Sounds great.
So of course they can get a hold of me. Instagram, I'm at yaniksilver.com, or whatever it is, at Yanik Silver. Twitter is at Yanik Silver. I'm not super active there, but more so will be. Yaniksilver.com is my personal blog. I post there every once in a while. Get the Evolved Enterprise book from Amazon.
Great book. So yeah, go to Amazon, type in Evolved Enterprise. That was the book that I did.
Yeah, that was the book that you promoted.
That was the book we promoted.
So I thank you for it.
Evolved Enterprise, grab that book.
And inside Evolved Enterprise, I have a rant on give back, which you mentioned. So as copywriters, it's really important the words we use. Yeah. And that phrase implies that we've taken something. And so as entrepreneurs, we're only value creators. That's the only way we stay in business. So that's why I like talking about, what's the impact that we make, how do we give, what's the empowerment that we provide. Like, to me, that's a better way of using.
You ever seen my TEDx talk?
No, I need to see it.
Yeah, I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a good talk, and it was nothing to do with business. I could have talked about it, but I was like, nah, I really want to put this out there. Yeah. I'm tired. I talk about business all day.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it here.
That's part of your journey.
All right, so onicpodcast.com for the show notes. We're going to have images and fun stuff. This probably will be one of the podcasts where you really need to go back and listen again and really internalize it. YanikSilver.com, at Yanik Silver, Maverick1000.com. Come on, Lurn Nation. Now remember, if you don't have your free login at Lurn yet, you got to get over there. Come on, LURN.com. And you know what? Become a learner. I'm going to try to see if that sticks. I don't really like it so much, but I'll try.
Lurn Nation's a good one.
Yeah, Lurn Nation. That one's hashtag Lurn Nation. Remember, when you post. Join us. It's absolutely free. You get a lifetime membership to a bunch of stuff for free, and then we've got a lot of courses that are like $7. But we want to be here to empower your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you very much for joining us.
Million entrepreneurs by 2019.
Million entrepreneurs by 2019. We already got 250,000 in there. Did I tell you that yet?
Oh, that's awesome.
There's 250,000 almost now inside that platform.
That's amazing.
Good for you. Pretty killer.
That's pretty awesome.
And we're not even beta yet. It's still an alpha.
And you know what? You could probably look at that and be like, we're not hitting our goal. It's so far away.
250,000.
But 250,000, that's awesome. And that's, the other things, it's like us as entrepreneurs, we get so focused on what the next goal is that we lose track of celebrating where we are.
Was listening to Brendan Burchard, and he said something that just impacted me so much. He said that so many people are so disappointed that they can't run an event for 300 people that when they have 30 in the room, they walk into it disappointed.
And then that energy leaks out and they don't put on a great event.
And he said, when I used to walk into a room with 30 people, I'd walk in and say, wow, there's 30 individual human beings in this room who will be listening to me, who I can impact. So the other day I put up, because I don't do much on YouTube, and I put up a video on YouTube and I was watching it and it had 412 views. Now, for someone like me, used to driving thousands of clicks or whatever.
Big numbers, and you're like,
I was like, 400. And immediately it was like Brendan in my head saying, no, no, no.
Yeah.
And I stopped and I Googled something. I said, how long does someone have to watch a YouTube video for it to count as a view? And it said 30 seconds. And I was like, whoa. And I was actually really excited. I'm like, 412 people, human beings, actual humans around this world somewhere, God knows where, watched at least 30 seconds of me talking about something like that. I got a chance to reach them, and that was powerful.
I'm glad you brought that up, because as internet marketers, it's like we can get too easily distracted by the numbers, by the metrics, by monetization, by all these things, and it's like there's a real person on the other end of that.
Yes.
And as I've actually gotten to like really more in touch with, as a fourth grader, I was in the school play, The Tin Woodsman. I was in The Wizard of Oz, and I was the only fourth grade lead. So I feel like this has been part of my journey, is kind of reconnecting to my heart.
Yeah.
And as I've done that, I've really connected to people and being like, there's I want to not just in a meta level help change the world, but even like one-on-one.
That's awesome. Cool. All right, let's do the fast round.
All right, the fast round.
The fun questions.
All right.
You've not seen these.
Do you want me to draw these answers?
No, these are very quick. Drawing is too long.
All right.
All right, we're going to do this now. Final round, rapid fire. Number 1, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
All right, what's your favorite movie?
Man. Ferris Bueller's Day Off for sure.
All right, I like that.
Because I always wanted to be Ferris, and I love the fact that he was just an awesome guy to the dweebs, the dorks, the jocks, the whoever.
He's everyone's guy.
Yeah.
I liked him.
Kind of way that I live my world.
Love the movie. All right, your favorite nonprofit project that you've done to date?
Man, that's hard. There's a lot of them.
The one that comes to mind at first.
Yeah, I mean, this one that we did that you were helping celebrate, which was the Reef Project, was one of my absolute favorites because it was so tangible.
Yeah.
So we were given by Virgin Unite the task of what would you do with this old World War II ship, and it was actually a ship that survived World War II and was now docked in Tortola, and so we had a group of Maverick members on Necker, and we divided them up into teams. And right before, we normally never have this, we had a cancellation. We had 2 people cancel, and I called 2 of our members. I'm like, hey, do you guys want to come? They're like, yeah, okay. And they built Burning Man art cars. And so they're sitting there listening to this, and they're like scribbling furiously, learning about it. And so they built this gigantic, or they thought they could, and they won the prize, or the competition there to what they're going to turn into it, which was this gigantic octopus kraken that was on top of this World War II ship, like devouring the ship kind of thing. Yeah. And then they had to work with all these different nonprofits as well, not just one. It was a bunch of them to interconnect together to create this project that would help all these different organizations and groups. And so that was by far one of my favorite, just cool. Because of what happened. And my son even saw it from the idea inception to us standing there for 3 hours with Richard. He had flown in just that night just to make sure that he was there on that moment when the ship went down.
Where can people see the video that you showed us? There was a video about this. It was a really great video.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's at bviartreef.com.
bviartreef.com. Really cool video. You should see what they did with the ship.
It's an amazing video. I mean, we had the guy, he works with Tom Cruise, like on Mission Impossible films. He does the filming of the films, right? Like the documentary of how they make the films. Yeah, so it's
awesome.
It's good stuff.
All right. If you could go back, sorry, no, I skipped one here. Name one thing that you feel helps Mavericks be so close. The one thing, the one big thing.
I mean, I think it's the experience.
The experiences.
Yeah, the experiences
that
bring them together.
What's the first thing you do when you wake up?
I have a glass of room temperature water, usually with some lemon, and then typically I'll either meditate or do yoga.
Awesome. Of all the trips you've done with the Mavericks, which one sticks out the most?
Oh man, I don't know. There's a lot of really good ones. I think one of my favorites is the Ice Hotel in Sweden.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And it's not like the most wildest adventure, but it's one of the most amazing, and it's also with an amazing crew. We always have an amazing crew, but this one guy in particular, he was a Maverick member, and he ended up dying really early from melanoma, and he was on that. I think that was one of his last trips that he came. And if you would have asked him, like, hey, his name is Jordan Guernsey, and I'm like, so Jordan, how are you doing? He's like, it's great. I've never had a bad day in my life. And he's like, and I actually have a whole interview with him, which was really amazing, and just this whole notion of like how cancer was the greatest gift he ever had, and who he was. So that Ice Hotel, that the location, which is up in the Arctic of Sweden, and they actually rebuild this whole Ice Hotel every single year. It melts, and then they have new artists come in and build it. And then we went like dog sledding and went out even further up into the Arctic and spent the night there. So yeah, the Sweden Ice Hotel trip was one of the most amazing ones.
If you could go back 10 years and give a younger Yanik some advice, what would you tell him?
Man, so 10 years, I was pretty, I was probably about a year into Maverick, and I was still in that building the parachute, jumping out of the airplane, thinking it's a great idea kind of phase, or maybe a little bit of like, uh-oh, what the heck is this? I think, the advice would really be just enjoy the ride. Like set your intention and hold on for a great ride, because it's everything happens in the right way in the right time. And awesome. even if you don't like it necessarily from your ego point of view, it unfolds in the perfect way.
Cool. All right, name 2 books that changed your life.
So books to me are like my best friends.
Yeah.
It's the very first thing we do whenever we come into a new house is we build floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. Yeah. One of my favorite books, not business related at all, but can be, is The Great Work of Your Life by a guy named Stephen Cope, who's a yogi up in Massachusetts, and he basically took apart the Bhagavad Gita and took at different people's lives when they met their dharma, like people like Harriet Tubman and Nelson Mandela and all these people that and how does it incorporate into the Bhagavad Gita, and then even like quote unquote regular people, like, so really, really powerful book. Another one for me would be, man, there's so many good ones, but I think if I had to pin down just one more, it'd be Robert Cialdini, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion.
Yes.
And I haven't opened that one in a long time, but I remember reading it about 9 different times, and it was one of my favorite. Just, the fundamentals of human behavior and understanding it, and it could be used for quote unquote evil, or it could be used for good. Yeah. But when you apply it for something that has a greater meaning, then it's so powerful. So
awesome. All right. Thank you so much for being here, Yanik, today.
My pleasure,
It's been an honor always to speak to you, to learn from you, and to share conversation with you. And again, so great that we have this place because I get to see you every now and then.
Yeah.
If you're listening, yes, please. If you're listening right now, come on, anikpodcast.com. If you want to go grab the show notes, you got to go check out some of the cool things that we talked about.
A doodle of Anik in there.
All right. Yeah, he's gonna put a doodle of me. There you go. That's the incentive. He's currently drawing me right now. All right. All right, everybody, it's been great. We'll talk to you on the next episode. This is Anik Singal reminding you, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.